Alright guys, so this is proof number 2. This is the proof that you have a paper for it. We did this proof in class, and I'm just about to do it again. So we have a few given things. First, ABCD is a parallelogram. The diagonals of the parallelogram are congruent, and we have a given angle that is 90 degrees. Alright, so if I were to draw all of these things that are given, I would get a shape that looks something like this. A parallelogram, parallel, with diagonals that are congruent. Let me do this red diagonal and the green diagonal. So I know these diagonals, the red diagonal and the red diagonal, they are congruent. Okay, I said that for this one, for this problem, you have to cut this triangle. I mean, not cut it, split it into two triangles. Oh, and there's also one more thing. Angle BCD is 90 degrees. Let me label this A, B, C, D. So I'm going to decompose this triangle into two triangles. The first one will be the triangle made with the red diagonal. Alright, so I know this is B, and this is C, and this has to be D. And the other one, it's going to be the other triangle done with the green diagonal. It looks something like this, and there is the green diagonal. So that means this has to be A, this has to be B, and this has to be C. Again, the given angle, 90 degrees, is angle BCD. BCD, that is this angle here. And that right angle belongs to the triangle with the red diagonal, which is this one here. Okay, my goal is to show that these two triangles are congruent. Okay, so I need to find congruent pieces between the in these two triangles. One thing, if you look at the hints, opposite sides and opposite angles of parallelograms are congruent. The opposite sides are these ones, and they are congruent. So that means that the bottom part of the triangle along with the top part of this other triangle, they are congruent. Okay. Then notice that both triangles share this side. Okay, BC and BC, both triangles share this side. So remember, reflexive property, these two sides will be congruent. Alright, and lastly, remember one of the given things over here, the diagonals AC and BD are congruent. So this red diagonal is congruent to the green diagonal. It is given. So that diagonal is congruent to that diagonal. Alright, so I can begin doing now my statement. Can you see there? Statement and reason. So I'm going to take the pieces. Well, notice I want to prove that these two triangles are congruent, and they are by side, side, side. All right, but I have to list my pieces first. So again, I know these two, DC and AB, they were congruent by the hint. Opposite sides of parallelograms are congruent. Opposite sides are congruent. So I know DC is congruent to AB, and that was due to the hint. You can say hint if you want to, Or if you want to, you can also write opposites. Opposites of parallelograms. If you want to write the whole thing, feel free to do so. So that's one. The second one, so we did this one already. The second one was that BC is congruent to BC. Reflexive property. Remember these two, both triangles share this side. If I were to put them back together, to come back to this and drag this one on top of this one, these two sides would coincide. So BC is congruent to itself, BC, by reflexive property. Alright, that's the second one. And the last one were the diagonals. So diagonal BD is congruent to diagonal AC, and that is true because it was given. Alright, it was in the given statements. Given. Alright, I have 3 pieces of the triangles. The triangles are congruent, so triangle, this triangle DCB is congruent to triangle ABC by side, 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 side. Alright, now here's where you have to think a little bit more about these problems. Notice that it is given up here that this angle is 90 degrees. Only that angle. BCD. That's the only angle that it's given to be 90 degrees. But because we have shown that these two triangles are congruent, notice the corresponding angle. Which angle is corresponding to C? It's this angle up here. So that means that angle B, this angle here, is also 90 degrees because they're corresponding parts. So I can say that angle ABC, is congruent to angle DCB. And that is true by corresponding parts. C, P, C, T, C. Okay? I was able to figure out again that this angle is 90 degrees because I have shown that the triangles are congruent. Okay? Now if I were to translate this angle into my original drawing, this angle it's on B, it's right here. Alright, I have this now. And remember one of the hints, opposite angles of parallelograms are congruent. That means that the opposite angles here, which opposite angle to B would be angle D, is also 90 degrees. Similarly, the angle opposite to C, which is angle A, is also 90 degrees. Opposite angles are congruent. So I can pretty much wrap this up by stating that, hey, angle C, I'm just going to say angle C, is congruent to angle A, and angle B is congruent to angle D, and that is true by the hint. Opposite angles, double P, opposite angles of parallelograms. Alright? Opposite angles of parallelograms are congruent. So now I can pretty much wrap up this problem by stating that, hey, because angle A is congruent to angle B, or nah, I'm just gonna say because all angles, because, wait, no, sorry, I'm gonna say the shape ABCD, which is ABCD, is a rectangle. And this is true, and this is true. This shape is actually a rectangle because all angles are 90 degrees. Alright, and this is it. This is the whole proof. Alright, so again on the test, I'll be looking for this. And similar to number one, you might have different letters, so it is a matter of actually knowing how to do this. Also on the test, I will ask you to actually decompose the triangle the same way I did it. Alright, if there's any questions, please feel free to let me know during class or send me an email. Alright.